Liam Payne has just passed, and people are bringing Jimin into the conversation. People are talking about Jin and Wendy together and what's going on with Dispatch. And then we have JHope leaving the military. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. There are a lot of things happening today. It's quite frankly a very interesting day, and I'm going to get into all of these topics here today in one video, which I kind of rarely do. I usually just pick one big one and then like two smaller stories, but this one is all big ones. I want to start off with JHope leaving the military. This was such a huge story, and the moment the clock struck midnight, the entire community online set the internet ablaze by tweeting that the military needs to go ahead and let him out, and he has been out now. There were memes of him coming out of prison, like the prison gates rising, and then he emerges and just stuff like that. And people were very excited to know that he is finally back. To be quite honest, it really didn't feel like they were gone for that long, because the moment the last member enlisted, it was only like a month or two later before Jin came back out. And now Jin is about to release his solo album, which we'll get into a little bit more later. Another member starts coming back out now. And I remember talking about this a little bit when people were kind of freaking out about this. I was saying that we honestly wouldn't even notice, because the moment everyone's fully enlisted, the members will slowly be coming back. So they really spaced it out very cleverly and made us feel like we were going to be okay, and we were and are. Now, JHope did do a little press thing when he came out, because of course we were not the only group of people that were very excited and anticipating his exit from the military, but obviously the press was too. Now, I was confused at first, and I really can't see the face, but I think that's Jin on the ground holding all the microphones. So I don't know who does this, but I think it's absolutely funny where the reporters will stand at a distance, but in order for all the reporters to be able to get a sound bite and an audio clip they can then use for their news station, they will have someone, I guess, strap all the microphones together and then hand the idol or the talent this bouquet of microphones. And it's absolutely just hilarious to look at, but Jin was holding the bouquet. JHope was talking about his experience at the camp, but also talking about how he felt like all the soldiers were making a really big effort to serve the country. He took a moment to not even make it about himself and what he's trying to do when he comes out of the military, but he used that moment to talk about how the country should appreciate all the soldiers that are serving. And I think this is something that he probably was made aware of at the camp, which is that a lot of people at the camp feel underappreciated. So he definitely wanted to take a moment, at least just this one moment, to acknowledge all of the hard work that the military men do and show his gratitude. And that is really beautiful. I'm glad being in the military has touched him in such a way where he felt like he wanted to give back, or at least put a spotlight on them for a little bit. But everyone is excited to see his return, and we're excited to see what he may come up with in terms of music. The next story I want to get into is the whole Liam Payne situation. If you're unaware, Liam Payne was formerly a member of One Direction. He had just died, and I feel like most people watching probably do know this, because a lot of people who became BTS fans were once One Direction fans, and I can prove it as the entire BTS community online was mourning the loss of this when they found out. And the community in unity does not just automatically wish anyone well after they pass, because there have been sports players, theater actors, and just in general actors, and the community doesn't really say anything. This doesn't mean that they don't respect those people, but obviously they just aren't aware, nor do they even have a connection to them. However, the reason why the whole community did this with Liam was because the community in general has been a big fan of One Direction. Now, if you're not fully aware, Liam died after falling off a balcony in Spain, and the specific details of what happened, why he did that, or if he was pushed or jumped or whatever, is not entirely clear yet. But they did officially confirm that it was his body that fell off, and obviously he's not with us anymore. This is such a horrific tragedy on its own, but literally minutes after the death was reported, there were people online who were then using the death to mock BTS, specifically to mark Jimin, with even posts saying which thing fell harder, and then showing an image of Jimin's song Like Crazy next to an image of Liam, and then replies to that post talking about how they hope that Jimin will be the next and Jimin will pull a Liam. Of course, there were a lot of people who were naturally going to be very upset about this, including myself, because this is such a dark thing to say, and within minutes of the news coming out. It's like these people will be so obsessed with BTS and so obsessed with taking down Jimin that they will take any opportunity to use it. But what's more crazy than this is just how mentally unwell these people are, that the first thought after someone dies is Jimin. Keep in mind, these two groups have never crossed paths. I believe Liam had been asked about BTS a couple times just because Liam and One Direction came before BTS, BTS, so naturally they're going to be asked what they think about the new generation of boy bands. However, I don't think BTS was ever asked about One Direction, nor did they ever meet or work together. I don't think. So there's no association there, yet these people made an association and then said something that's so dark and disgusting. I really hope these people will one day get their karma, and I hope one day people will find out where they work and show them screenshots of these horrid things that they said, because I think any employer looking at this would think twice about employing someone who during their time off or during their break would choose to write something like this. Now the boys and Jimin specifically, none of them have formally reacted to what's going on. However, a lot of people think that if BTS were to find out or read some of these things, that their reaction would be that they hate these people and that they would naturally shun these people away. And this goes without saying, because I think any human being reading these comments would probably be disgusted over what's being said. Going on something a little less dark and a little bit more topical, which is the fact that Jin has a new album coming out. So he's been working on new music, but he hasn't really hinted anything until literally today. So he's releasing a mini album, and it has 6 songs, which I would actually consider more of an EP than an album, or maybe more of a mixtape. But maybe he just wanted to put together a couple of songs. He didn't really have a lot of time to make these songs, or he just felt like the album would be a lot stronger with just 6 really strong songs than it would be if it was like 14 weaker songs. But it's not just 6 songs. One of the songs consists of a member from Red Velvet, Wendy. If you're unfamiliar, Red Velvet is a huge girl group. They've been around forever, and they are definitely more so veterans. But even aside from that, Wendy has such a strong voice, and she is one of the strongest voices in the group, and I would say one of the strongest voices maybe in K-pop. She is known as a power vocalist, and you can really hear that. So to have them work together and maybe have their voices blend together would be so beautiful. Now this is the part that people found a little bit strange, because news sites didn't report on this like, oh, the album dropped, whatever, but they reported on the fact that allegedly Big Hit sent a message to Dispatch letting them know that Wendy and Jin were making a song together. So this is very interesting, I think, to the community, because were the two labels aware that Dispatch was going to release an article saying that Jin and Wendy were dating? So they wanted to nip that in the bud right away by letting Dispatch know right from the beginning that this was just a collaboration. However, I honestly think it could have been kind of cool for them to have Dispatch release a dating rumor and then later release the album and release the single and just say that, oh, this was just a collaboration. Like, it would have been very good for publicity for their song. But of course, I understand K-pop doesn't like to do stuff like this, but I think it would have been a great free promotion. Some people were wondering what type of footage Dispatch might have, with some people saying Dispatch might have them in the same bedroom together, appearing like they're dating, or doing something that looks like they're dating, or if Dispatch really had something that would have looked compromising. The thing is, Dispatch doesn't really ever even need to have something like that, because a lot of times when they report on dating rumors, they're not even showing the two members together. They're just showing an image of the two members, and then the headline just says that they're dating. We actually don't ever even see them kissing or doing anything like that. Like, for example, if you take Jennie and G-Dragon, like when they released that as a dating rumor, we did not even see Jennie and G-Dragon together in the same picture. They just put 2 separate pictures together and just said that the two were dating. And we believed it because we're like, oh, it's Dispatch, maybe it's true. So I think that's an interesting theory, but I actually don't know if that's true. They probably released it to Dispatch so that Dispatch could then write a bigger news article for it. A lot of labels, what they do is they send articles to various different news sites about things like an album release or whatever, and they hope that the news site picks it up. And if it's a big celebrity, most of the time they do pick it up. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.